morning. We've got a really nice sunny day today, which was not at all what I expected. It was forecast to be quite dull and potentially showery today, so I've got my fingers firmly crossed, because in the background you can probably hear the washing machine's back on again. I've come across so much vintage fabric that I want to use for quilting and so forth this year. So I'm just laundering it all, and then it can be stacked. I'm going to redo how the storage unit's done, and then work it into colourways, and then restack it and fold it, and though it's all ready then to be used. So the denim's all processed now, so I've basically, all I've got is pockets and fabric and all the peripherals, which, to be fair, they were going to be used by now by my students. They would have been. So that can all go now, which has freed up the other half of my big shelf, which means that I can now get my boxes organised and sorted. Although they're on there, but there's just stuff stuffed in them, so I need to go through and sort out the threads and ribbons and bias binding and all the bits and pieces that you need, and they get squirreled away and they've got in a bit of a muddle. So anyway, I've got a fresh cup of tea, the sun is shining, and it's bank holiday Monday today, so I work on Sundays, so I didn't really get much done other than a lot of folding and processing and sorting. But I'm hoping today that I might actually get a bit of sewing done in here, because I'm making I'm making some examples up for my Thursday class. We're going to do a couple of quilt blocks, and they've been inspired by an amazing lady called Kate, who I follow on YouTube, Kate at the Last Homely House, and she was inspired by another quilter to make a really good scrap busting quilt, and hers is very multicoloured. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it, and I'm not the bravest person in the world to use very bright colours. Those of you who know me know I'm not the best with red. I don't like red very much as a colour, but I do like some, deep hues and so forth. So I thought, let's make a scrap busting quilt. So I floated it with my Thursday class, who were really keen. So, but I was trying to explain to them how you do it, and they were just like, what? Quite blank faces. So I thought I'll do some samples up, make up some small blocks, and then they'll know what I'm talking about. So come Thursday I can introduce it. The other one is also a quilt that I've been inspired to make by Kate, and I will put a link to her YouTube channel, because she's another lovely quilter, and she's like having a friend at the end of the lens, and I hope this is how you feel. I hope that is the case. Sorting through the fabrics in here has it's really woken me up to just what I've got in here. I think the trouble is, a lot of it was in bags. People would give me bags of fabrics, and I'd go, oh lovely, and then not have time to do anything with them. So revisiting everything that's in here has actually it's made me really look at what I've got. There's some beautiful fabrics in here, and although I have a hankering to have my entire workshop full of Liberty fabrics, it's not going to happen, and I will use up the fabrics that I've got, and really get stuck into making some quilts, because the last 12 months I really haven't, and I'd really like to get that going again, rather than just the telling people how to do it. I'd actually like to be doing it myself. So today is all about finding the colourways. I'm going to have a little look at how I can free up some of the spaces in the block unit so that I can actually get some more of the fabrics in there. I've got some boxes in there that they're full of stuff I'm not really using, so I need to go through them and go, do I need you or do I not need you? And it's always a hard decision, because you can go through them and think, well, they might be useful at some point. Alternatively, somebody else might use them faster than me, and they could sit here for another 10 years and just be in the way. So I'm going to light a candle. I've got a sweet pea candle on the windowsill, and I thought it might be nice to just change the air in here a little bit. Although it's fine, but it would be quite nice to have it, I don't know, smelling a bit floral maybe. And I want to clear my desk. And then I'm going to be using a sewing machine that I don't use normally. My lovely Janome at the moment has a problem with the feed dogs, and I've had a twiddle around with it, and other than starting to take it apart, I'm not absolutely sure what's happened. I have a feeling that there's too much dust in there and they've got caught. I don't know, but I'm not a sewing machine expert. I can do basic servicing, but not when things go really wrong. But I think it's a case of just taking everything off and just having a bit of a clean up in there. So I'm hoping that's all it is. So what I'm going to do today, providing I get that far, is use my Singer. So I've got a Singer heavy duty, which I don't use that often, but I'm going to probably be using that today. So that'll be fun, because my fingers will be going in all the wrong places because I'm so used to where everything is on the Janome. And the little Janome that I use in class that sort of lives in the car, I've been using that. I might actually use that, to be fair. It's a little dinky one. It's like a basic model, and I got it just literally to take to classes with me, so that if a student hasn't got a machine, or if we need a spare machine, or if I'm doing quick demos, it doesn't mind being in the bag and living in the car and, you know, toing and froing. It's portable, more portable than my big one is. So yeah, so that's what maybe I'll just use the Janome. Decisions. I don't know. Probably I will. It's lighter. So I'll actually be working at my desk. Hurrah! I'm going to set the camera up on the windowsill, and you'll be able to see from that side then actually what I'm doing. And I'm hoping that the lighting in here, because I've had it done so that it's daylight strips, so I'm hoping the lighting in here is good enough. So it'll be a really good test actually as to what it's like to film in here, film at the desk, and really get that cracking now. I'm quite excited. I haven't been this excited about this room in a while, so it's yeah, it's good, and it's lovely to have everyone along with me. I hope there's lots of you along with me. And I need to find somewhere to put my button jars, which I was going to have up there, but I'm now wondering whether, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to think about that one. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to put them yet. Oh, I'll find somewhere. They'll be fine. They'll fit somewhere. The whole thing is going to get moved around, so yeah. So there we go. So, happy Bank Holiday Monday, and I hope everybody's doing something lovely, even if it's just sitting in the garden. It's nice out at the moment. Rosie and I have been wandering around up there because I've just hung a load of fabric up to dry, and it's lovely. The flowers are out and the roses are popping out, and in fact I need to do a bit of deadheading because some of them have gone over. So I'll be back. Well, this is a bit lovely. I'm actually sitting at my desk, and I can't quite believe that this has happened, but there you go. That's what happens when I get bank holiday to myself, and finally my barn is usable. So I did decide to use my little class Janome. So she's a bit rattly and a bit noisy and quite basic, but she does the job. So what I'm doing is I'm making up these little 4-inch squares. So they'll be 3.5 inch when they're stitched together. And I'm not being at all precious about the colour. So this is something that I'm having to go, okay then, let's just go with it. So I'm kind of having a bit of fun with this because this isn't my normal way of quilting. But I was so inspired by the quilt that Kate did that now she called it her terry quilt because she was inspired by another quilter. So I think I might call this my Kate quilt. But what I'm going to do, I'm not actually going to make it into a quilt. I'm going to make it into a curtain, because behind me here is the doorway that used to be the barn door, and it's now the bit that goes between the barn and the utility room. And I'd quite like this area to be slightly cordoned off. So I was standing in here about half an hour ago chatting to my neighbour, and she'd come in to have a look and see what I was up to. And we share a courtyard. So the way that these cottages are done, you have to be friends with your neighbours because we're quite cheek by jowl in this back bit. We get sort of not so much in the gardens, but definitely round here. The other two cottages don't share a courtyard, but we do, and it's lovely. You know, I've been here 16 years, and my neighbours are really good mates now. So anyway, we were chatting in here, and I was saying to her, I don't know where to put my buttons. And I was standing talking to her, and she was in the doorway. And I looked above and thought, I can put a shelf. I can put a shelf all the way along above the top of that doorway, and all of my glass jars of buttons can go along there. It'll look like a sweet shop. It'll look really cute. So that's for another day. But I thought that what would be really cute is to have a really lovely colourful curtain that hangs behind, and it's like a backdrop. So these little guys here are made up from scraps. So those are two that I've done already. So these are going to go, they're all going to go into this big curtain that's going to go across the door. But for the meantime, I'm making them as examples of what my Thursday class are going to be doing. Oops, I think the wind's got up. I've got a roll of insulation that was standing up behind me. It's going up to the shed in the garden, and it hasn't made it yet. And it's just blown over, so oh well. Right, so I'm going to just angle this down a little bit so you can see the sewing machine. I've got my phone is on a Gorilla Pod, so there. That should be okay, shouldn't it? You can see that okay. Cool. So I'm just taking small squares that are going to be the centres, and then picking up pieces of fabric that will be a good edge. So I've got I've got a whole basket full of fabric over here, and I'm just twiddling around to see. I might cut some of this up, but oh, actually they're not my good scissors. I've got two pairs of scissors that look almost identical, and but they're not quite. So I am, as you know, well, you might not know, and if you're new to this you won't know, but I have a real phobia about blades, and one of the things that I really don't get along with, which I really should, is the rotary cutter, and it makes it makes everybody really cross with me. So they say, oh, for heaven's sake, just use it. And but they scare me to death. So I've just done a really silly thing there. But never mind, I'll to go to the end. So I'm trying to do it so that I chain stitch pieces, because it uses up less thread, although when I boo-boo like that and I get a big long bit, then it doesn't quite work. But so by chain stitching, I mean, I'll show you. Let me just cut my bunny off. So by chain stitching, you just release that bit. You just continue on. So each piece, I'll do a slightly different timing. And so that's one piece. That's going to be my center. That's going to be one edge here, one edge here. And then I'm going to put another piece on the other side. So it could be anything. Literally could be anything. I've got all sorts of weird and wonderful fabrics in here. Oh, that might be fun. So right sides to right sides, and I'll just stitch. I'm using 1/4 inch seam on all of them. I'll just cut that bit off. I'm having to kind of think on my feet here a little bit, because these pieces, some of the pieces are really small, some of them are quite big, and I haven't really had a chance, because obviously I only did this on Saturday, sorted, I'll go that way. I only sorted out this basket on Saturday, and excuse me, there's a bit on the floor there, and I had another piece going, didn't I not? Maybe I didn't. I thought I had. I had a green bit going. Have I not? I've lost it. I've put it down in amongst the scraps, and now I don't know where I've put it. Oh, it's here. Duh. Yeah, so I haven't really sorted through sizes and things yet properly. And so I'm kind of going a bit on the hoof. And I haven't really gone for any kind of strategy. I'm going to cut this up a little bit smaller. All of these pieces will end up being used, because they'll just end up in other projects or other squares. So I'm just going to pop that bit on here, and then I'll chain out the right way around this time. I'm going to trim that bit off. Somewhere my little corner, that's it. I'll just add that on here for a minute. So it just, these are little pieces that they sit underneath my foot, protect the machine, and they end up, they're just bits that save the thread. There, so, and some people use them, some people don't. So I've got 2 on the go now. Now I want these squares to be 4 inches, so there's a lot of fabric going on here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to measure it particularly, but I just want to get rid of some of this fabric. Yeah. Because otherwise I'm playing with far too much, so it can go in the scrap pile. Just means there's less to worry about. This This is like do as I say, not as I do. There, that makes it slightly easier. And then I can add, I'll do the same to this one as well. So take a little bit off there and a bunch off there. That's better. And then maybe I put a bit of that on there. Yeah, that might look good. No, that's not going to be big enough. Okay, find a longer bit. Okay. So I'm just going to, actually I'm just going to cut this. Bear with me for a minute. This is one of those jobs where I will sit one evening when I'm watching something on TV and I will I'll grade all the scraps down so that I've got tiny ones and long ones and what have you, but at the moment they're just coming out of the basket as they are, and I'm not worrying too much about what they are because I don't want this block to be all sort of desperately organised. I'd like it to be a little bit mad, a little bit crazy, a little bit, ooh, that's a nice piece that I've just thrown on the floor. Just a little bit out of my comfort zone. Let's take that bit off. That'll end up in the middle of something. And I like the fact that I'm not sticking to any rules, and I'm not sticking to any colour rules either here. So I when I'm teaching, I teach a bit, you know, I'll teach about the colour wheel and I'll teach about colourways and what have you. But for something like this, we don't need to know that. We just need to be a bit free. Ooh, that's quite lovely. Let's take a little bit off there. That's quite a big piece. There's so many bits and pieces in that basket. I've got a basket that's got big pieces in it, but this one just ended up with all sorts of bits and pieces that came in bags and it's perfect for crumb sewing, which is what this is. Absolutely perfect for it. Let's stop there for a minute. So that square is done. Can you see the center? And then it just needs to be trimmed to size. So I shall do that one. I'm going to hang them over the top of the basket for a minute. And then this one just needs another side onto it. So they grow quite quickly. And the thing is that they're the sort of thing that you can just twiddle along and do as and when. Ooh, that's a very big piece. Let's cut some off there. As and when the feeling takes me, and when I've got a half hour and I just think, oh, I feel like doing some stitching, but I don't really know what. Ooh, I know, I'll come in here and I'll stitch up some squares for the curtain quilt. So do you think I should call it my Kate curtain? Probably. Ooh. This is new bit of Hello everyone, I'm back again at the desk, but I haven't got any sewing machine with me yet today because I took it into class and it's still in the car. As you know, I'm using the class sewing machine at the moment because my big Janomi's got a problem with the feed dogs, so it's just not bringing the fabric through correctly. But I'm hoping that my very clever engineer daughter can have a look at it for me tomorrow. So hopefully next time I'm on here I'll be using my lovely machine. The classroom one is fine, but it just doesn't sew quite as nicely as my other one does. So in the meantime I've been rattling off some more squares. I've got lots of different ones. I've got hay fever today. I don't know why, because it's not sunny, but I appear to have it. Lots of different colours, lots of different versions, and it has really been so liberating. It's just so much fun. I'm generally one of those people that I love colour, but when I'm sewing I generally tone it down, and I have particular colour palettes that I like using. And I don't know why I stick to this, because when I used to teach photography, it was one of those things that you teach harmonious colourways and you teach discordant colour. And discordant colour can be really exciting, and it one colour throws the other colour off. And so you're working with opposites on the colour wheel. But they are also harmonious. But these feel like they should be very discordant, but actually aren't. So it's quite interesting. If you walk through gardens at the moment, because we've had so much rain, it's been so wet, you can't get out and do proper gardening because you're just treading on mud and you're wrecking the soil. So Mother Nature has just got, she's got mischievous, and she's gone, ha, you can't tidy up, so I'll just put a buttercup over here and a dandelion here and some wild geranium here and something else here, and it's not the colour palette that you would necessarily choose unless you had literally had a wildflower meadow. But my garden's based on, it's a cottage garden, but it's sort of based on the way that Gertrude Jekyll did things. So there's sort of colour washes of blues and mauves and white and so forth. And I don't generally throw a yellow in the middle of everything, but I've got buttercups in there at the moment, which normally I will weed out. And I'm going, oh, actually, I might just leave you there for the time being, and when you finish flowering, I'll take you out. So who are we to judge? So yeah, so these blocks, they're just just making me feel really happy. I did take the idea into class on Thursday, having fallen in love with it and having done so many, and a few of those have started doing. A few of my class members have started doing them. So I can't remember how long ago it was that the video for this originally came up on Kate's channel, Kate at the Last Homely House. But Kate, thank you so much for inspiring me, if you're watching, because it's really good fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the curtain up behind me, so I'm not looking at the washing machine and all the utility stuff. I'm just in here. This is such a lovely space to work. It's warm. It's not particularly warm outside today, but it's warm in here. It's a little double brick barn other than that bit. And it's just got such a lovely atmosphere. I just really love it. Oh, there's all sorts of stuff around me that I love. So in the meantime, I have processed a load of fabric. So I've got a basket full of quite big pieces here. I've got a basket full of very big pieces next to it. And I've got a basket full of smaller pieces and very small pieces. And I'm so organised that I've even got a basket full of centres. So I've been quite busy. I've also discovered that when I'm in here I don't need to wear my glasses to sew. only to thread needles. It's miraculous. The lighting in here is so good. So that's really lovely. The other thing that I did think that I would do before I wind this whole video up is just explain a little bit about my reluctance to use a rotary cutter. It's not because I don't think they're good. I do. I think they're really good. They produce beautiful sharp lines. They're quick. They're accurate for other people. You know, for things like this, you can speed through trimming things up and so forth. And these are all trimmed to a 4-inch square, so they'll make a 3.5-inch block when they're stitched up. So it's 1/4 inch seam. The reason that I don't use it is because years and years ago, and I'm going back to my teenage years now, I had a friend of mine whose brother was fitting a carpet at his parents' house, and he was using a Stanley knife, and he slipped and it cut through a major artery in his leg. And it was so horrifying and scary. He's okay, but if I use a blade that is, I don't even know how to describe it, because I'm fine with knives, and I think it's when you've got to push things or put, and I know you always push away from you, but I just have a vision of that scenario in my head. So Stanley knives, rotary cutters, I've got a jigsaw that is great, but I can't use it because it just, every time I get it out of the box, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. So that's why I don't use them. And to be fair, I trained as a hairdresser when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and so scissors became something that I was so comfortable with, and I'm accurate, so I'm much more happy using scissors. And if there comes a time when scissors won't do the job for me, then I might have to just bite the bullet and get myself over it, but for the time being I don't need to. so I continue with my scissors, and I'll encourage all my students to use them, and I've got no problem with them when other people have got them. I just don't like using them myself, and I think because I'm so tentative with them, I don't get a really decent line. And the few times that my students have bullied me into using them and gone, oh, for heaven's sakes, Kay, just get on with it, look, it's easy, and I produce rubbish wibbly lines, and then I do it with a pair of scissors and they go, oh. So I'm happy with scissors, but that's the only reason. I do think they're brilliant, and I have one. I just don't like them. So what else have I got to tell you? Oh, one more project that I'm going to do. The chair that I sit on when I'm sewing here is my spinning chair, and it's absolutely lovely, and it's very comfortable, but it's quite hard when you're sitting here for hours sewing. So I've been sitting on a cushion, but it's too big and it slips. So what I'm going to do, this is a piece of mattress protector, and it's an offcut. I'm trying to use up all the offcuts of bits and pieces at the moment so that I can, in the in the process of clearing. So I'm going to fold it in 4 and cover it, and I'm thinking that I might actually do it as a Kawandi stitch and use up some of the bigger pieces. I'll do that, I think, and I'll just double side it. Similarly to the ones that you'll see, the chair covers that you'll see in the Needle, a Pin and a Bottle of Gin playlist, the Mercy and Bridport videos have got some me doing Kawandi covering, so they're not Kawandi quilts as such. A Kawandi means quilt, but they're in the style of it. But I think what I might do is actually Kawandi this, so properly do it so that it's got the backing and the front, and I'll do it so that because with Kawandi quilt's totally different to a normal quilt. When you quilt a big quilt, a normal quilt, you quilt from the inside out. So you always start from the centre and you quilt out so that you don't get puckering and things. Or you pin. You don't necessarily stitch from the centre, but when you're laying them out, you pin from the centre so that you're always pushing out your fabric. With Kawandi, you do it the other way round. You actually form the edges and then you layer the fabric so that you go round and round. So actually I may not do it as a double-sided, I'll just do it with a backing and I'll Kawandi the top. And although it's folded into 4, it's not that thick. It's just enough that it'll just take the edge off me sitting on a lump of wood, which is not that comfortable. So I think that's everything. The only other decision I did make actually was the window. I'm not going to do a stripy curtain. I'm just going to put a piece of voile, because when I'm stitching here, the light is so lovely and it's great, but in the afternoon, if the sun's shining, it's blinding. So it just needs something. So it's not really a net curtain, but it'll just soften the light as it comes through that window. But the light in here is so lovely that I don't even need to use my glasses or anything, so it's perfect. So I'm really looking forward to doing lots more filming in here. And hopefully this is the next little project. And I've also got 2 quilts to make or get done. And there might be some little projecty things, because we have a thing every year in our village called Shilling Fest. And it's at the end of this month. And I have got quite a lot of stock, but I'm doing a craft fair next weekend, and so I may need to top up the stock. So there might be some bits and pieces being made there. I'm also on the hunt for a mirror, because the plan is that I fit a mirror above the desk and then I can film into the mirror, and then you're literally looking down onto the desk. A bit like years ago when I used to watch, I think it's Ready Steady Cook, and they had a mirror above the desk, and I thought, what a good idea, that'd be good for filming. But I haven't found a mirror that's the right size or shape to fit between the light and the window, which is where it would need to go. So when I do, I'll fit it up and I can film into the mirror, so that'll make things even better. So anyway, until then, whatever you're doing, have a lovely day. Don't forget to give me a like or a comment, or if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, because it all helps YouTube to send videos out to people that they think are useful. And I know that I've found videos like that where I've liked and subscribed on some videos, and then I'll get other stitchers and so forth, and you know, we're a lovely community and we're very friendly, and I love thinking that I'm chatting to everybody, but I'm chatting to you individually, each of you who's watching. So I'll send you lots of love. I'm going to look at some fabric for this, I think, now. But I want to get this video edited and out, and I'll come back and look at the next project. So take care, everyone. Mwah.